I've got the opportunity today to talk to a longtime acquaintance, and it's been probably far too long. His name is DiCostanzo. Don is the head of Pedego, an electric bicycle designer, distributor, manufacturer, all those things wrapped up in one. And we're going to talk about Ford Motor Company, among other things. So, Don, welcome to EV World.
Thanks, Bill. I'm glad to have this opportunity to chat with you.
Oh man, it's been a while since we talked last. I think it was probably in LA about a year or so ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, at the Terranea electric bike event. That's correct.
Absolutely, great. Well, look, let's start off for people who may not be familiar with Pedego. Give us a rundown on the company.
Well, essentially, we started as a store in Newport Beach, California, in 2007. We opened up an electric bike store, and we became one of the largest electric bike stores in the country very quickly. Not because we were so good, because we really didn't have much competition. And we learned in that 1 year that we owned the store what the customers wanted and what they didn't want. And I would spend, it was a part-time thing for me. I had several other businesses that I ran, but I would go in there on Saturday and sometimes in evenings and chat with the customers and even sell some bikes. But out of that, I learned what the customers wanted and what they didn't want, and was frustrated because at that time, the electric bike brands that were out there were not interested in color. They weren't interested in style. All they did want to do is sell bikes. And we thought there was a lot more opportunity beyond selling bikes. There was the service component, being able to rent them, being able to give tours on them. And we saw a lot more opportunity. So after surveying the market, we decided just to develop our own brand of bikes and sell them primarily in the United States, mostly in California. But it's evolved quite rapidly since then. And we started selling our first bikes in 2009. And now we're doing business in 45 countries around the world. And we have about 500 dealers.
Wow, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Well, look. So what attracted you? You've got, and just looking at your LinkedIn page, you've got a background, it looks like, in automotive chemicals for car washes and other different things with Win Oil and Zach products. So how does a guy that's involved with the automotive side of the business, how is it that what attracted you to electric bikes?
Well, I say I went from being an eco-terrorist to an eco-preneur. And the real attraction is that I had a house at the beach, and it was at the top of a hill. And I loved to ride my bike at the beach. But at that time, I was about 50 years old, and I didn't enjoy going up the hill after my ride. So consequently, that was always a deterrent to me to riding my bike. So my bike collected dust in the garage like a lot of other folks do. And I got the idea. I heard about these electric bikes, so I bought one online. And it was a terrible electric bike. It was ugly, it was heavy, it was noisy, but it got me up the hill.
Right.
And it was just say, wow, this can work. Electric propulsion works. And since then, I've become an electric transportation addict, where anything electric transportation, I'm interested in it, I own it, I study it, I become a fan of it. And the bottom line is that's when I first got the bug, if you will, and I realized that these things can be made efficiently.
Okay, well, I think part of that everything electric from an email you sent me earlier includes one Tesla Model S and one on order and a Model X behind that. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. So I bought a model just by sheer blind luck. I was early to a dinner reservation on a Friday night, and I was going to wander over to the Apple store to just check things out because I had some time to kill. And lo and behold, the Apple store was no more, and the Tesla store had taken its place.
Oh, wow.
The Apple store moved a few blocks down to a newer, bigger location, and Tesla took over. I walked in there, 5 minutes, I knew I wanted one. So I ordered it there, gave them a credit card deposit. At that time, it was $5,000 with the idea that I probably wouldn't go through with it, but I just wanted to reserve one. And sure enough, I went through with it, bought the car, loved it, absolutely in love with the car, no other words to describe it. And since then, I ordered a second one, and I have a Model X also on order for my wife. My father's taking my first, I got the Model 60, the 60 kilowatt hour.
Right.
Just isn't good enough for my range requirements. I thought, originally I ordered the 40, and they never produced it. But I thought this was going to be a around town car that I wouldn't want to ride it, but I love it so much that I want to take it on trips. And we have a home in Santa Barbara. Going up there, I'm always kind of worried about not having enough energy. And to reduce the range anxiety, I decided I wanted an 85. I told my dad that. My dad's 86 years old. He says, "Well, I want to get one." And he doesn't drive much. He might drive 100 or 200 miles a month, but he wants a Tesla. So he's going to take over my car, and I'm going to get the 85.
Okay, well, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, Don, is because you came out, had an announcement here some months back now that Ford Motor Company and you are collaborating, and maybe you can define what that means for us better, on development of an electric assist bicycle with the Ford brand on it. So tell us a little bit about what's Ford Motor Company doing with electric bicycles.
Well, I think like most car manufacturers now, they've kind of got an idea that there's the electrification of transportation is going to happen, whether they want to participate or not, and they've mostly decided to participate. And I think, in my opinion, Elon Musk was the big catalyst for that. I think had he not entered the fray, that we may not have all this activity going on in electric bikes, or I'm sorry, electric cars. So Ford's idea was that Elena Ford, who's one of the principal shareholders of Ford stock, she wanted Ford to come out with an electric bike, went to their engineering staff, realized they didn't have the resources to do it. So they decided to find a company to partner with and to basically license. So they approached us, and we had 3 or 4 months of dialogue with them and negotiation on an agreement to do it, where, what, and how. And we decided on the design, we decided on how we're going to distribute and all that, and we entered into an agreement. It took about a little over a year for us to get into production, and once we'd signed the agreement. And we could only do it that quickly because we'd already had one in the pipeline that we decided to brand as Ford. And they liked the design, and we'd already started the process. So it's gone. We started shipping them about a month ago, and we're having a tough time keeping them in stock.
Excellent.
Ford has done a great job helping us promote them. We've got a lot of Ford dealers. We talked to a Ford dealer yesterday that's setting up a whole little mini showroom for them next to their service and parts department. The waiting area they're going to dedicate, and they're remodeling it now, and they're going to feature the bike. So we don't think we're going to sell a lot in the Ford channel because they're really in the automotive manufacturing. And I did come from the car business. My family owned a chain of car dealers, and I worked in those in my earlier days. And I spent 20 some odd years with Wins, so I'm very familiar with automotive. I think it's a great promotional area for them. I think it's extending the message of that they are going electric, and they've got the Fusion, the Fusion plug-in now, and they've got several other models coming out, the C-Max, and so they're moving into this. And I believe that electric bikes are a gateway drug to electric cars, and vice versa.
Exactly.
I'm proof positive of that. Okay, I don't think I'd have an electric car had I not had an electric bike. And many of our dealers come in here before they become dealers. They're driving Priuses, an inordinate number. And I think you're predisposed to an electric bike if you're interested in an electric car, and vice versa. And I see evidence of it all the time.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so their plan initially at this point is just simply to distribute them through their local dealerships that are interested in carrying them?
Actually, there's 3 ways that the Ford bike can be purchased. The consumer can purchase it from a Ford dealership.
Okay.
They can purchase it online through a company called SureSource, which is thefordcollection.com.
Okay.
Or they can buy it from a Pedego store.
Oh, okay.
So 3 ways. So our Pedego store dealers can buy them, and they're available through the Ford networks.
Okay.
Including directly from a Ford dealer.
Okay, so Ford is using these different channels to get these bikes out. So let's talk about where sort of trends. We've seen a car company. In fact, Ford's not the only one, obviously, doing this. You've seen some of BMW, Mercedes, Smart now that has an electric bike out there. So we're starting to see that trend. What are your thoughts with respect to the growth of the market here in North America? Are you encouraged by it?
Well, yeah. So the market is clearly growing. It's still a very small market. It's in its infancy. I like to say it's back like the .com days or the early phases on the internet when we used to dial up. We hear that screeching sound, and then they'd say, "You've got mail."
Right.
And that's kind of where I think we are now. I think it's in the infancy. But I also think we've got a lot of things that are working against us in the United States against electric bikes, And mainly, believe it or not, I believe the bicycling industry in general has been resistors. And it's kind of like if you're Jewish and you go to a Catholic church, you're not going to feel comfortable. Or if you're Catholic and you go to a synagogue, you're not going to feel comfortable.
Right.
And generally speaking, the customers that are buying these electric bikes, for the most part, aren't comfortable going into a bike shop. And I don't know, that's a cultural thing. I don't know if that can be changed. And that's not for all bike shops. I'm just saying for the vast majority of bike shops, if you ask a bike shop about electric bikes, they'll give you everything from those are cheating to that's not in our pedigree and all that. And I think we're overcoming a small part of that, but culturally we've got some big challenges there because the people that run these bike shops, they're great competitive cyclists. They're into, they call themselves the real cyclists, and they kind of call us, we're older or we're infirmer. There's all kinds of things that they give us as a description.
Right.
And most of them have never ridden an electric bicycle, so they're really casting judgment before that. So I think that's inhibiting the growth significantly here. I also think that just the industry in general has been slow to respond to the electric bike movement in the rest of the world. And the big dogs here in the U.S. have all failed in the electric bike business here. Trek has failed. Giant has failed. Schwinn has failed. They've been here. They found they couldn't get movement of the product, so they've withdrawn. I suspect they'll probably come back when the market starts to mature. But because the market is probably about 50,000 units a year, it doesn't really appeal to the big guys at this point.
Right.
And there's some exceptions to that, like anything else. But at the end of the day, we got to get more exposure to the consumer. It's all about getting consumers to ride them. Once they ride them, they come with a big smile. I'm sure it's on your face the first time you rode it. And we all know what it's like when we ride it. But until we get the smile, then nobody knows what an electric bike is.
Right. Well, that's we'll talk about this at some other point. But that's the whole philosophy behind my e-peddler idea is to get people on these bikes and begin that planting the seeds for that transition in the way they think about the technology. Well, let's talk about product trends. What do you see? I mean, you obviously identified a need from your store during that year. I'm sure that you're continually sort of monitoring that. You're looking at what's happening. I mean, you probably spend as much time in Asia as anybody else does in this business. Where technologically do you see us going? What excites you?
Well, there's a lot of things. I think that because of electric cars and because of what's moving in electric transportation in general, there's a lot happening with batteries. Okay, the batteries are going to get better. They're very good now. When I started back in 2007, we had 30-pound lead-acid batteries that were good for about 100 charges.
Right.
Now we have lithium-ion batteries that are good for 1,000 to 2,000 charges. And so that problem's over. The price is still an inhibitor, but I don't see any indications that the price will reduce. Style, we think, is paramount. We agonize for hours over colors. New colors. What color do we drop? What color do we bring in? And we've got 18 different colors, and we're still going to bring out some more.
Yeah.
And because we find out that the people, that this is a personal style issue for them, and the color might be more important than the amount of amp hours in the battery or how many volts it is and all that. Style is, in our opinion, is probably paramount, especially to the market that we're going after. So there's a lot of good technological advances that I saw when I was in Asia 2 weeks ago at the Shanghai show. There's a lot of money being spent on improving every component of the electronic components of the bike, and we've got some exciting things that will be coming on next year's models.
Okay, well, let's talk about celebrities for a moment. I think that you've been fairly successful in getting your bikes in the hands of some interesting people, one of them, of course, being Bill Shatner and his wife. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, every celebrity that has a story, and that would be maybe a whole different topic. But in the case of Bill and his wife, they came into our dealer in North Hollywood, and they had electric bikes that they had converted prior that were failing, and they wanted to get new ones. So our dealer called up and said, "You're not going to believe it, but Bill Shatner's wife would like to get 2 Pedegos." And so I said, "Well, look, I'd like to be part of that. Can I come there?" Yeah. So on the day of delivery, I got to spend an hour with him in the parking lot while Bill rode around in circles hooting and hollering about how cool this is. And it turns out his wife, Liz, made him give up his motorcycle because he crushed it. And he was, Bill was 81 at the time. That was about a year ago. And the guy is, I want to be like that when I'm 81.
He's not 81.
He's 81 years old.
Seriously, wow.
Yeah, I went back, looked, and checked on it. His wife said that she'd like to. I asked her. He was out riding, and I said, "How is it that Bill stays so young?" She said, "Well, I'd like to tell you it was because he married a younger wife, but I'd be lying. It's because he's just got the zest for life, and he just lives life to the fullest."
Yeah, that's amazing. Very good.
So now the other big celebrity thing that happened last week is we got on the Jimmy Kimmel show,
right?
And we didn't pay for that. Everyone says we paid for it. No. The truth is they went into the same store where Bill Shatner got his bike and paid full retail for the bike. And an hour before the show got filmed to present it, they went online. They searched to get this guy an electric bike they wanted to reward him for being a hero for picking up trash on Earth Day. And he picked it up. They awarded him the bike on TV. We got a 1 minute of full coverage. I don't know what that would cost, but that's done tremendous. Since then, our phone hasn't stopped ringing.
That is fabulous. I love it. I know you sent me a link, and I'll try to put that link in with the article here. So where's Pedego going, Don? What are your aspirations for the company?
Well, we're very clear. We have two goals in the company. One is to delight our customers, and number two is to make our dealers successful. And both of those have opportunities to do better in both of those cases. But our goal is to have 1,000 Pedego branded stores by 2020.
Okay.
And we've got about 45 open now. Pedego in Florence opened up yesterday. Pedego Philadelphia is opening up a week from Saturday. Pedego Cincinnati opened a couple weeks ago. Our second store in Rhode Island just opened up. And these stores are all doing well right out of the gate. So we've struggled trying to deal with bicycle dealers. Because they just don't get it. In a really good bicycle store that does a good job with electric bikes, I mean, people committed to it might sell 1 or 2 electric bikes a month.
Yeah.
Whereas one of our Pedego branded stores, which are more like Apple stores, they'll sell between 10 and 20 bikes a month.
Wow.
So it's a real simple formula for us. We're going to do more of what works and less of what doesn't work. And we're very fortunate. We're opening we're opening 2 in Canada. One's already open. The other one's opening this week. We're growing 100% organically. And what's most interesting, all of the dealer leads, or all these dealers, are customers first. They buy the bike, they decide they like it, and they say, wow, I want to do this. What's it take to become a dealer? 100% of our dealers came from our customer base. So we do no marketing to get dealers, and we're overwhelmed with dealer applications.
Yeah. What's the most popular selling product?
Well, you know, that it changes, but generally speaking, our cruiser bikes were our most popular because that's what we made. And then we came out with our city commuter, and that by far is the bigger seller than the cruiser bikes because it appeals to a broader market. And I think there's a case to say that our Pedego city commuter will become the world's best-selling electric bike. It's a traditional bike. It's got, good performance characteristics, but it was designed to be an electric bike from when we started building it. So unlike a lot of bike companies, they're taking regular bikes and just, putting a motor on it, or going to a supplier of motors and just retrofitting the bike. In our case, we didn't know how to do that because we didn't have bikes, so we just started from the ground up.
Right. Very good. All right, so where can people, if they want to go get it, and I certainly strongly recommend this, go get a test ride.
Absolutely.
There's no substitute for getting on the bike and actually riding it and seeing what the experience is like. So where can they go? Obviously, I guess look online and find a list of dealers near you, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we've got a zip code locator for dealers that are close to, and you're 100% right, Bill. Nobody should buy an electric bike without riding it first because they want to find one that's comfortable. It's like buying a car. You don't just go online and buy a car unless you've shopped it first. So we have most of our dealers offer rentals and tours as well. So, if they were in Santa Monica, California, they could rent one, they could take a tour on one, or they could buy one. We'd recommend they do that. And we believe that a test ride or a rental or a tour is nothing more than an extended test ride. And we understand that the longer they ride it, the more likely they are to buy it.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well,
Don, to answer your question, Pedego.com would be the best place for them to go and search for a dealer that would have it. So it would be Pedego, Pedego.com.
All right. Very good. Don, thank you. I look forward to, I've got my plane flight booked for Interbike, so we'll definitely, I hope, run into each other there at Interbike in Las Vegas coming up in September.
Thank you, Bill. I look forward to seeing you then.
All righty. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.